They say the line between genius and insanity is razor thin. For a competitor to rise above the mass of mediocrity to forge a legacy that goes down in history, they must walk that line. They must adopt the mindset of a champion. When 99% of people would say, good enough, a champion asks, how can I be better? Mike Tyson spent hundreds of hours perfecting his ducking left hook. At the peak of his success, Tiger Woods still hit 300 balls daily at a minimum to perfect swing. Kobe Bryant's dedication to mastering his footwork on the court crossed the threshold of obsession and bordered on madness. This is why champions are champions. They don't think like most people. They see the world differently. They ask questions other people don't ask. We're already winning. How can we win harder? This is the question Audi asked in the early 2000s when it decided to create a new kind of monster and throw it into the Le Mans arena. And that monster was the Audi R10 TDI. Its special weapon was a beastly 5.5-liter V12 engine powered not by petrol, but by what Jeremy Clarkson called the fuel of Satan, diesel. With 650 horsepower, this car blew the diesel stereotypes out of the water and had enough torque to defy the laws of physics. Okay, that might be a slight exaggeration, but you get the point. This car was a titan of modern engineering designed by the top motorsports team in the world at the time. And Audi decided that its proving ground would be the Le Mans 24-hour endurance race in 2006. But the thing that perplexed everyone leading up to the race was the fact that Audi decided to change the game by introducing a diesel engine into a race historically dominated by petrol-powered cars. Because it really didn't need to. Audi was on a tear leading up to the race in 2006, utterly crushing the competition in previous years with its famous R8 series, racking up wins in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2004, and 2005. It's such a testament to Audi's success that no matter how superior they prove themselves to be, their dedication to innovation has bordered on madness at times. But despite Audi's near-flawless track record, what they were attempting to pull off is something that's never been done before. And everyone, from casual fan to hardcore expert, was adamant that this experiment was an exercise in futility, pointless and expensive. If it ain't broke, don't fix it were the words written on the parchment that every other team lived by. But Audi read that message and tore it up. At the time, there was a simple reason why everyone chose petrol engines. They work really well. They can rev really high, which means they can create more peak power than diesel engines while being lighter and more responsive for the driver. They're compact, and when it comes to building a race car for Le Mans, getting everything to fit is challenging for the engineers. A petrol engine's size allows it to be mounted lower in the car, which helps with weight distribution. And not to mention, petrol engines had been around for decades at this point. They'd gone through countless rounds of improvements and iterations. Manufacturers knew how to make really good petrol engines built for power, responsiveness, and reliability. Something worth mentioning is the layout of the Le Mans race itself. This isn't a short affair. It's a legendary war of attrition where man and machine are pushed to their ultimate limits. It's a 24-hour grueling marathon where reliability and fuel efficiency takes priority over raw power. This is an F1 where you blitz the whole race on a single tank of fuel. The fastest car in the world is useless at Le Mans if it needs to pit stop every 10 minutes. And speaking of pit stops, at Le Mans they're a massive deal. Even the top-class teams pit every 45 minutes or so in a dry race with no reliability issues. That's upwards of 30 times during a single race. It was no secret that diesel engines were known for their reliability and fuel efficiency. So why wasn't everyone using them? Well, they were also seen as being slower, more sluggish, and generally less responsive than their petrol counterparts. The whole racing culture at the time saw diesel engines as something that belonged in an 18-wheeler industrial haulage vehicle, not in a race car on the track at Le Mans. Not only that, but the previous technology prevented diesel engines from reaching high enough revs to be competitive in most races. Yes, Le Mans was an endurance race, but it was still a race. And diesel engines were like a tortoise. Reliable and efficient, but you wouldn't bet on one to win if you wanted to make your money back. But while everyone else was hating on diesel engines, Audi saw an opportunity. If they could somehow design a diesel car to match the speed and agility of petrol without sacrificing its efficiency and reliability, it would mark a new era in the world of motorsports. It would change the game completely. This is what Audi was all about. And let's not forget that nearly half of all Audi cars on the road at the time were diesel-powered. A win at Le Mans with a diesel engine would skyrocket their road-going diesel sales nearly overnight. But overcoming the technical challenges of the diesel engine wouldn't be easy, and Audi knew it. It would take a team of the best engineers on the planet to make it happen, headed by a leader who was mad enough to bring such a bold vision into reality. And luckily, at the time, the head of Audi Sport fit the bill perfectly. Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich was the visionary lead at Audi Sport at the time, and the decision to win Le Mans with a new diesel engine, that was his idea. But he couldn't do it alone. This is where Ulrich Beretsky, Audi's engine designer, and his team of engineers came in. As skilled as they were, they had their hands full. These guys had the task of creating a power unit that defied all the stereotypes associated with diesel engines while being as fast as petrol. One of the main issues was the weight and size of diesel engines. These things were huge. To tackle this, the team developed a lightweight aluminum block for the engine, which made a night and day difference to its weight. Another challenge was achieving a higher power output, allowing it to go toe-to-toe with the petrol engines. Audi's solution was to bring in the artillery, advanced turbocharging technology. The R10 TDI was equipped with twin turbochargers, which massively boosted its power output. And not wanting to sacrifice fuel efficiency and reliability, Audi also focused on a new fuel injection technology. The R10 TDI used a common rail injection system from Bosch. The fuel injection pressure for an average petrol car typically ranges from about 40 to 60. But this injection system was capable of delivering fuel at up to 23,000 psi. That's a lot of pressure. This injection system allowed for more efficient combustion, which helped with power and efficiency. With all the parts fitted, testing soon began. After 10,000 miles on Audi's engine dyno, the engine ran at 650 horsepower. The team was shocked. This made it the single most powerful diesel engine in the world for its size at the time. But that's not even the most impressive number. This baby produced a whopping 1,100 Newton meters of torque. That's a hell of a lot of pull. Having torque like that would allow the R10 to accelerate rapidly without needing to downshift frequently, allowing it to maintain its speed and momentum over long distances. Also, a torquey engine can operate more comfortably within its power band, reducing wear and tear and increasing reliability. But the most impressive aspect of the engine was its ability to produce 80% of its torque starting from as low as 2,000 RPM, extending all the way up to its red line at 6,500 RPM. This red line is way lower compared to the petrol engines of that time, which revved up to 12,000 RPM. This meant the Audi car could fly out of corners like no other car at the time, and it could do it in almost any gear. Audi knew that they'd created something special with this engine, and to complement it, Audi designed an ultra-light chassis for the car developed in collaboration with Dallara. These guys are responsible for the chassis on Formula 2 cars, as well as a whole host of other racing leagues. The engine was strategically placed very low and as far forward as possible within the chassis. Not only did this improve weight distribution, but this decision also gave it that distinctive open-top look that it later became known for. The Audi R10 TDI was ready to hit the track at Le Mans. What Audi now needed were drivers skilled enough to tame this beast in a colossal track like Le Mans without making mistakes that could cost them everything. Le Mans drivers needed serious endurance and resilience to make it through. Remember, it's a 24-hour race. If you're at the wheel, you're driving in the dark a lot of the time. It was one of the hardest races in the world reserved for the toughest drivers, and Audi found the men who they believed would lead them to the top of the podium, in front of a record crowd of 235,000 spectators. Driving the R10 would be 5-time previous Le Mans winner Frank Biela from Germany. Joining him would be former Formula 1 driver Emanuele Pirro from Italy. And alongside these men stood German Marco Werner, a driver known for his ability to maintain fast lap times over long stints without making errors. He achieved the rare feat of winning the Triple Crown in the American Le Mans Series. Audi fielded 2 R10s in this race. The second car was piloted by Dindo Capello, Alan McNish, and Mr. Le Mans himself, Danish racing driver Tom Christensen. Christensen earned his nickname due to his extraordinary history at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, holding the record for the most wins with a total of 9 victories. He would later go on to be known as one of the greatest endurance racing drivers of all time. But as the preparations were underway, Audi received some troubling news. their main rivals. The Pescarolo Sport Team, founded by former Le Mans racing driver Henri Pescarolo, were bringing an experimental secret weapon of their own to the track, the Pescarolo C60 Hybrid. An evolution of the previously successful C60 model was an incredible feat of engineering in its own right. Powered by the famous Judd GV5 5.0-liter V10 engine, this car was like the peregrine falcon of endurance racing. But this falcon could fly like a breeze for 24 hours without missing a single wing beat. It was fast, aerodynamic, and extremely reliable. Audi's rival was bringing the big guns to the fight. They heard about Audi's little experiment, and they were serious about putting an end to it. As preparations finalized, race day lurked just beyond the horizon. The stage was set. The team waited in anticipation as questions started circling in their minds. After all this preparation, time, and money spent, would they be sent packing back to using petrol engines with their tails between their legs? Would Pescarolo make a fool of them? Was this all just a pointless endeavor? Despite their reservations, Audi was just 24 hours away from sending a shockwave through the world of motorsports. As the cars took to the track, the race began, and what happened next stunned everyone. The excitement at the racetrack and among millions of TV viewers worldwide was palpable as they witnessed a miracle. Not only were Audi's new experimental TDI engines competitive, they were easily the fastest and most fuel-efficient cars on the track. Nobody could believe it, but diesel was beating petrol. Throughout the race, at least one of these innovative diesel sports cars from Ingolstadt consistently led the pack. Tom Christensen, a celebrated figure in Le Mans history, clocked the fastest lap. He also became the first driver in a Le Mans P1 sports car to complete 16 laps on a single fuel load. And that's not all. Audi also established a new distance record by completing 380 laps. The fuel efficiency of the Audi TDI power was on full display. The Audi drivers typically needed to refuel only every 14 laps, taking on 90 liters of Shell V-Power diesel each time, while the competitors using petrol engines had to make pit stops far more frequently. Spectators were equally impressed by the quietness of such a powerful 650 horsepower sports car. It was damn near whisper quiet. People were practically writing checks for their new Audi diesel car while standing on the bleachers. Even though the Audi R10 TDI's rollout occurred just 200 days before the race, it proved as dependable over 24 hours as its predecessor, the 5-time Le Mans winning R8. However, the team ran into trouble at 3:47 a.m. There was an issue with the fifth gear, leading to an unscheduled pit stop. With Pescarolo gaining on them, this was bad news. But despite regulations preventing the complete replacement of the rear end, the innovative gearbox design allowed the team to complete this task in under 10 minutes. Before you know it, they were back on the track and leading the pack. But another issue occurred on Sunday morning with the car driven by Frank Biela, Emanuele Pirro, and Marco Werner. A broken headlight led to the full replacement of the front bodywork. Audi quickly overcame these challenges, and apart from these incidents, the R10 performed flawlessly. The Audi team's success didn't end there. The car driven by Dindo Capello, Tom Christensen, and Alan McNish finished third on the podium. The second car was nearly as dominant as the first. Although they were initially leading the pack, the R10 TDI ran into trouble, including the replacement of the injectors in the right-hand cylinder bank of the V12 TDI engine during the fourth hour. This dropped them to 16th place. They also faced more issues, including a collision which required a complete turbocharger change. But this didn't stop them. The team's resilience and efficient repairs by the mechanics ensured their podium finish, even after nearly an hour lost in the pits. After 24 grueling hours, Audi had secured a dominant victory and proven to the entire world of motorsports something astounding. Diesel can beat petrol. After the win, the team was ecstatic. Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich was quoted as saying, "This was already the 6th Le Mans victory for Audi, but by far the most difficult and important one. Only 200 days, the most intensive ones in the history of Audi sport, separated the rollout of the R10 TDI and the start of the Le Mans race. I want to thank every single member of Audi Sport." And Mr. Le Mans, Tom Christensen, said, "I'm feeling very, very emotional. Now everybody will know what TDI power means." This project started not so long ago as a clean sheet of paper and has already triumphed. This mind-boggling feat of engineering and motorsport skill led to a complete 180-degree shift in attitudes practically overnight. Diesel became the new sheriff in town. Next thing you know, every team was scrambling to fit diesel engines in their cars. But the win at Le Mans in 2006 was just the beginning of Audi's dominance in endurance racing. Audi continued to be a major force at Le Mans in the following years, winning numerous times and solidifying their reputation as a leader in endurance racing technology. But to Audi, these wins were not just shiny trophies on a rack. They were a testament to their unending desire to improve and innovate year over year. Daring to walk that line between genius and insanity, they struck gold, and their achievements in motorsports defined a generation. This is what makes Audi Sport a team of champions.